honestly, it's scary, but I want to just have like conversations and talk about stuff with guests. But those part editing will spend a bit more time cutting out a lot of. Like, there will be stuff that we won't add. There will be stuff that we need to take out. But that's why we need to work closely with the editor when on board lah. Because guests will be another like new season. Everything will be a bit different from now.
Yeah.
Now it's more like a video.
Now it's
Not
just
like a video format.
sort of talk show where we just come back every week.
It's an unscripted version of like content, basically.
Yeah.
Unscripted content. It's less of like those interview style podcasts, which honestly I enjoy listening to interview style a lot more. It's more like just a conversation instead of like, oh, talk to here, talk to there. Like personally, I don't find that intriguing. Yeah.
I mean, this is what I'm sort of starting with.
Yeah.
So
it's just to get the ball moving.
Jump into the deep end in the sense with short form. I mean, super long form actually, like 2-hour episodes. Yeah, I don't mind. I like long conversations where we can get into flow, outflow.
Long conversations, yes, but I'm saying like the format. We've been doing a bit more like prepared and talk to camera. It feels less like a conversation.
There are many types of conversations, right?
Those type usually I do it now with my second channel. I just it's kind of like how I started my main channel now. Just unscripted, me talking about stuff on my mind. But I want to try to just use it to document my business process and all this. What I'm struggling with, all this.
Yeah.
My life.
Realistically, we have 52 episodes, sort of. So we're only at like 15. We have a lot of room to play with, a lot of stuff to experiment. We have enough sort of padding to talk about and try different styles of formats. I think in our beginning, it was just do whatever it was a mixture of what we thought we needed to do, sort of like our standards based on the norm and everything. Then trying to incorporate our own, sometimes add in our own like punch of authenticity, whatever. And now it's going forward. Maybe, yeah, we're finding a better balance.
I think I want to move out of our comfort zone and just stick with guests for a while also. Because I think guests, we can work on it with just two of us. Like actually asking each other the correct thing instead of like preparing stuff to talk. But it'll be a lot more fulfilling lah. Like you have new people come on it, ask them questions, learn how to foster the vibe that we need to make engaging conversation but still value adding, because we still need entertainment. Make it fun for ourselves, for other people. Yeah, cannot be like it's easier for us to go into like our conversations are sometimes when we talk, other people like when we go mastermind or when we go gym together, other people get turned off. Means that it's not engaging for them, it's only engaging for us. So we want to like do both. I was like, it's the point of improving. It's authentic, but is it authentic, or is just we not used to thinking about ways to make it accessible for everyone? Yeah. A lot of people think that you have to censor yourself or whatever, you have to change the way you talk, but it's not really changing the way you talk. It's just more like the archetype thing.
It's just learning, gaining tools and then using the tools right. Like
it's a new archetype. Like when we just off podcast, we can discuss in the way that we are used to. Just point, logical. But when we in the archetype, we want to teach people new, engage new people, or people that are not that familiar with that topic. It's more interesting to be able to tap into another archetype and like engage them.
I see like natural progression for the podcast, really guess and everything. So I don't. It may be maybe it's not in the right. Yeah, we were not at the right level yet. We needed to get our baseline. That's why I treat maybe the first 21 episodes as sort of phase one. Yeah. Where we are just
season 1, basically.
Season 1, basically.
Once the season is over, then there'll be new stuff. We'll still add a lot of the familiar stuff, which is us, how we speak, whatever. But like there'll be slowly new elements added in to to progress lah. We want to see the progression for ourselves also.
New stuff and new stuff.
And a lot of the things that you discuss, like all the natural stuff that you think will progress. I guess I'm the one that will slowly bring up, like we should be putting more awareness and focus onto this new topic, this thing. So it's natural for you, but for me it's more like it's also natural for me to want to add these things. I was like a bit like I realized the vision for starting a podcast was always to have conversation instead of like a video style, because I already been making videos. It just feels like doing that again, but with someone else.
With me,
yeah. So like I want to lock in back into that vision of talking to people. We all learn from people. Basically mentors, friends. Like the best mentors actually not really like those that you ask them to be your mentor for 3 years, 5 years. It's legit just learn from people around your level. I think then slowly you'll find new people, whatever. Yeah. Make things more interesting.
Stuff. With an A.
A.
It's like, I think this first 21 episodes, because I've already been prospecting people in my life since I have quite a lot of creative people, access to a lot of them with my studies right now, and also just my life in general. For some reason, I don't know. Many people in my life are just very, very creative.
Very creative.
Individual. Yeah.
I mean, you're in mass comm.
Yeah.
It's where all the creative people go. Writing, production, all this.
Journalism, content creation. And I think in general, I also just sort of exude, I don't know, like expressive, like, I mean, I'm also like a musician, artist, like artist in like maybe different senses than like the just draw sort of thing. Maybe that's why I have so many people around me. Or maybe it's only now that, I sort of deviated from it. Like all my music, all my more creative sort of, the creative field, I guess, study the science of art, the art of science. I went more into science. Because in secondary school, I really did, what do you call? I was horrible at science. Fail physics, drop out of chem, fail physics for O-levels. Just kind of, then I think because, constraints, right? So maybe that was my constraint. I didn't have a good grasp of the baseline level understanding of science, even as a whole.
No interest also.
Yeah, I think at that phase in life, considering all my health and everything was on the decline also. Yeah. And it was only once I sort of got out of the education system for like, secondary school that I started to take our own like genuine interest, curiosity, like my own curiosity led me.
For me, I've always been a bit more fascinated in science than other topics. I hated math, but science was very interesting to me. Physics, the syllabus that they teach in school, okay, but I wasn't really thrilled about like working on it. Like whatever the assignment they give, the homework, I usually don't do them. But outside of that, during school time, I'll be listening to like documentaries about the universe, those theories, scientific theories. Like even I resonate a lot when I watch Big Bang Theory, the sitcom, about the bunch of what are those called? Theoretical physicists. Yeah, discussing all the scientific terms of what makes a universe tick, the laws of universe, all this. Yeah. I found those very interesting. I learned about just vibrations, energy, dark matter, space, even like time travel, all this. I used to watch a lot of like documentaries about this guy called John Titor. Travel back in time. He posted on forums about exposing the truth or whatever. Like it's probably fake, but I found those interesting. Yeah. So I guess from there, science became an interest in that sense. But I hated bio, even though for the past 2 years I've been almost every day I touch on bio, learning about health, science, biology, diet, how our hormonal system, all this. Like I've been learning, like we literally spent how long talking about this, like the episode I just meant life. as the time of recording this was the testosterone maxing
the
episode.
masterclass thing.
That was filled with science and bio. Although I dropped out of bio for O levels also. Yeah.
I never took bio.
Never took bio.
Before that I had like life sciences, and I also like did quite badly.
Yeah.
All my horrendous like fundamental foundations, right? I realized with my self-development, all that, trying to learn, seek knowledge, whatever, it has been just sort of identifying the constraint like unconsciously, because I really wasn't like trying to go into health. I mean, you go into health, you just get into biology, and because what do you have? Your body, and then from there, what else do you have other than to learn how to like fix your body in a sense?
But back then, when you're not interested, what did they teach in life science?
The basics of all the sort of concepts.
Oh, like still human biology. Okay.
A lot of human stuff.
The left ventricle, right aorta, all this.
Yes, all the bacteria, or the enzyme lock key something.
Oh my god. Oh, those are they teach it in a way whereby it's so mundane and it doesn't relate. Like last time when I learned all this, to me it's like, how does this help? And also like not to mention we were like unhealthy. So there's no all this is too advanced. You probably need to learn how to lift some weights before you learn about maximizing the feeding window to maximize muscle protein synthesis. Like for those, it's way too far. And the teachers last time for bio, they also don't know how to teach. Like most of them don't really know how to teach. I was like, it makes sense. Like I recently heard about this concept about like teachers as like there's this guy that as he aged, he realized that his friend that are just finishing high school or whatever, or like not high school, like finishing college or whatever, like ask them, oh, what you want to do? He say, oh, I'm not really sure. Probably want to be a teacher. Then he realized that, oh wait, are all my teachers back then just people that kind of not really sure what they want to do with their life, so they go into teaching.
Guess I'll teach what I've learned.
Yeah. So it's like they're also trying to figure things out. They are humans also. They were once like teenagers that are like directionless. So like having more empathy for that. But like true like bio in school was very difficult for me to learn. Unless you have like a preconceived goal to want to be better at bio or like want to score well, it's very difficult for you to develop an interest. And I think for you and me, we were always the type that we lean into the things that we're more interested in. And for me, I'm interested in chem, so I learned chem. It's not always to like try to get good grades for me. It was always like if I'm interested, I'll learn more of it. Yeah.
With the whole like, you realize like I've been sort of in the past few episodes, I've been sort of bringing in Newton's laws, everything. Like you see, and those are like sort of the fundamentals. If you've ever watched Elon Musk's interviews, or what I heard about like what he sort of features is basically first principles thinking. So thinking in terms of like really the fundamental like laws of the universe or everything, and then trying to apply that, because that is more really using that as a framework to think. That's more practical in a sense, because once you go into like dive into a specific, like very deep into a hole, then once you're in a hole, imagine like, can you see a lot of like possibilities, everything? No, you're sort of stuck in the hole. You're pigeonholed, literally, maybe.
Practical.
Like all the stuff we learn, until we actually see how it's useful to us, how we can apply it in our day-to-day lives. Like perhaps making links is the link between maybe ideas like, self-development, health, fitness, everything, and your own, physics class, maybe. Like learning like, oh, you ask a gym bro how, like, what angle he should do all that, like lift this weight or something for maximum sort of flexion, everything. Like that's a mix of biophysics, everything, and but they will know it. And once you are able to sort of help make the link between the two sort of different fields, realize that everything is interconnected, that is when you're actually incentivized to learn properly.
There's someone is someone that is trying to just develop a better way of thinking, going down to the basics, the first principles. There's a way to train the mind to learn the foundations so that you can build something above it. Without the foundations, it's very hard to capture a full image of something. Let's say like bodybuilding. There's what for one instance. Let's say like making money. If you don't understand how the money flows in the world, it's harder to make money. You might get a bit of like do sales, earn money, all this, but without the full picture, it's very difficult. Just that what I think is that in order to think in first principles, you kind of have to sacrifice a bit of the human aspect, because human don't speak in first principles. It's very hard to connect with someone if you just speak in first principles. So
not really speak, think in
think
terms of like problem solving, especially.
So focusing on your input, or how do you think in first principles but not speak in the same manner?
Thinking and speaking, because when thinking, the process as a whole is walking through. Process. There is a start, there's an end. You want to when you speak. Okay, most of the time when I speak, what I'm sharing with everyone is sort of the conclusion of my thinking process, because it is the culmination of every single experience, every single piece of information that I've sort of consumed, and then through thought, through processing, through making links in my own life and
Also,
everything.
like thinking of the person that you're talking to, also with their context in mind, then you will generate a different style.
Every speech, every word you speak is sort of to a different person is everything is context dependent. So,
but to ourselves, usually we can be more. We understand ourselves the most. That's why we can speak in the way that other people understand. Like if you're thinking the basics, like for instance, making money to me now is at this age, I want to invest in myself first, and set income as the, I guess, the growing metrics instead of the amount of money saved for now. Until a certain age, until a certain amount of income, after I unlock that ceiling, the point of diminishing return in terms of what the cards that I'm dealt with. Like for me, in this city, how much money can I earn doing the things I like that I don't absolutely hate? Once I reach a ceiling, then I decide, do I want to keep growing or do I want to start working on saving money, investing, all this? Of course, still build a habit. I'm not saying that just totally recklessly spend money, but focusing on taking more risk first. That's like it's easier for me to say it this way. Like now, as I'm saying this, it's harder for other people to capture what I'm trying to mean, because we learn through like thinking, and when we think, all these concepts, when we consume, when we journal out, it's what we understand the most. It's based on our own context
and our information that we have gotten.
Yeah. So like conversational, if you want to speak well in a conversational manner, you have to tap into different ways of speaking that usually don't just talk about first principles. Usually you use a PEL structure, the point, elaboration, example, link, those that we learn in school. Those usually can present whatever that you want to speak in a better manner. Yeah.
I mean, okay, the whole first principles thing, it really is sort of a baseline that you can keep going back to refer. It may be like even the start of a conversation, or when a problem escalates to the point where it's getting too deep into specifics. You're trying to really analyze and solve for maybe a problem that isn't really a real problem. So first principles is just okay, let's strip all the fat and then go back to the basics. What is actually, I mean, is there objective or universal truth versus sort of, or is everything subjective sort of thing? I think the conclusion in a sense is like it is all interconnected, because that you cannot sort of have objective truth. Like, do actually see things, or is it like, do you see truth, or like, am I actually seeing you here in a sense? All these like thoughts, like patterns you can go down. Everything is subjective. If I don't look at you, do you exist? Do you not exist? Sort of thing. Like all these is more, I guess, theoretical in a sense. But if you want to talk about thinking and talking, conveying ideas, is you want to go to more foundational, like, and that's first principles. So you just keep going back to the what is more concepts that are proven, like really proven, like we all live by. That life doesn't really have rules, so you can do whatever you want, sort of thing. But you have to adhere to, like gravity, I guess. Do you have like what is in your control, what's outside of your control?
Mm-hmm.
What is out of your subjective, I guess. Sharing ideas is just, with our information, we try to compress our everything into speech, which is already a very like gross simplification.
That's why I find it, like, my point was that it's a lot more difficult to convey first principle thinking into everyday speech, because at the end of the day, like, you can think in this way, but people don't think, people can't tap into your frequency that easily. Like, it takes effort in a social setting.
Yeah,
That's why
that's why it's context. You must write context.
that's why people still like memes. People still like all the shortcuts into human interaction. What dabbing? No, no, that
Dapping.
dapping. Yeah, dapping, saying like bros, all this. Is to just lubricate the frequency a bit. Like, oh, now we are being friendly. If you want to suddenly talk about first principles, it requires skills. People still can do it very, very effectively. So especially all the big broadcasts, I think they handled that very well. They're able to say it in a manner that people care. Yeah, that's why.
I mean, okay, caring about anything, it is because it is just in relation to your goals. You must see the utility. That's why as kids, we are not properly taught utility. Like, what are you going to use this piece of knowledge for in your life? So you maybe just put it in the story all the way at the back of your mind.
Yeah, so it's our job to bring it out to the front. Yeah.
You have to bring out like a desire or want for the information that we are sort of sharing, even to even hook them, get all the psychology sort of stuff before we
easy
can.
to say now, but in practice it's difficult.
I mean, obviously, like,
yeah.
I mean, what? Okay, I guess, I mean, difficult or easy, that's all subjective also. Like, doing it well is difficult.
Yeah.
Doing it, you cannot do. People try to do it. Like everyone's self unconsciously trying to sell their ideas, try to help other people. It's just unconscious.
Knowing what steps to take to improve it, or being aware of it is also difficult. Like, we all just kind of go into just auto-driving, autopilot mode a lot of the times while we are comfortable with. Wow.
Everyone does.
Yeah. That's why putting ourselves in risky situations is quite a good way to learn how to be more aware of all these things. Because when you take risks, you put yourself in like a kind of like do or die. Let's say most of us, we are fearful of rejections. So if you go do something that is like can face rejection while improving on this, it will influence your subconscious mind, because it matters a lot more to you. Like, let's say you want to learn how to do sales. You'll care about what you say. But in a normal, less risky, less stake situation, you probably won't care. Like, if you're just talking to a friend that you just met, or you go to a networking event that doesn't have any benefits or whatever. But if you take high risk, like, let's say a potential big guest that I met on the street, and I want to like talk to him, you care, oh, should I straight away ask, what should I say? How do I align incentives? You usually don't really talk about all this. Aligning incentives is one of the basic principles, the first principles of like human interaction. People need to see what incentives is it for them in order for them to even listen to you.
You need to connect first.
Yeah,
on a human
you connect first.
level.
Yeah, and I think in leadership, in just normal interactions also, people always oversee the importance of aligning incentives. Like some people, they ask you to do something, but they don't tell you why is it good for you. Then to you, is like, what is going on? Like, why would I even take your advice? Who are you?
The concept that quite literally everyone is selfish. We are all trying to, whether self-preserve, like we're all trying to sustain ourselves because we all need Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Not most accurate, but we do have needs. Everyone has needs. And if we don't see the need for anything, then why would we want to go out of our way to sort of be selfless?
Yeah. That's
and it may be objectively good, but if on the other side, the other party is not able to sort of persuade us into doing something, then if we are doing something against our will, do we have will? Like this sort of thing.
So it's not they haven't really persuaded you. They just said something, and if they force it upon you, there'll be consequences. Yeah.
Whether it's you're actually, that's why you're not putting your heart into an action, it's force, using force, which is, I don't know how you want to quantify or prioritize, how you want to, do you want to label like using force, like if you have to use force on someone, like brute force, is that good or bad? Maybe you're not doing something like,
it's a carrot and the stick also. If you buy force, it's usually the stick. And recently I spoke to this NS man, and he owns businesses, like co-owns. His like main job now is driving Grab, but he does have like a lot of businesses at the side, like some mala business. He owned like a business for like therapy for special needs people. Yeah, just a lot of different businesses. And also I think a hair salon. So what I've learned from him is that he's very good at judging people. He got a good eye for what kind of character, what kind of people. Just he don't really think in first principles, but he kind of do it over the course of like just learning from people, probably from childhood, or he learned from role models to teach him. Naturally, when he speak, he know what to look out for. Probably from a lot of failures, like trial and error. But I realized what I picked up from it is he knows how to align incentives. As a leader himself, because he have to select people, have to teach people, have to recruit people, build trust, build connection. He think in a way that, oh, what does my worker want? Probably want a stable job. Probably want to like he probably want to earn money and have the potential to earn more. So he put in order to build trust and not like you want to put someone as a manager, you give them the incentive they want, give them money, instead of like he gave the example that don't use threatening as a way to get people to do what you want. Some bosses, like last time when I worked, they were threatened, I take away your pay, whatever. What are you actually building here? It's easy to say, to boost your own ego, whatever. It's easy to scold people. But at the end of the day, what do you want? And what do the person want? You want them to do a good job for you. And why would they want to do a good job for you? You need to find that out. A lot of bosses, they don't think that way.
It's using fear as a incentive, the motivator.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to really have someone for the long term, play long term games with long term people, then burnout as a whole, why do people burn out? Why you want people to be performing at their best, but if you constantly bombard people with using fear, using shame, everything, then they're gonna be so uptight, so stressed, so tense in a different sort of, not in a sort of calm, the mode you actually want to be in, parasympathetic, that sort of thing.
Then one or two things will happen. First, they despise you, they purposely sabotage you. Second, if they are the stress type but they still do work for you, they won't do a good job. Then you continue just either a vicious cycle or eventually you will fire them because you think they are incompetent. But is it them or is it you?
You run them dry within like 3 years. What goes around will come around. then if they really build up resentment because you are sort of being a tyrant, being this, using force, using power, and not using that power responsibly.
Yeah. And you can see a lot of like anti-role models in your daily life. Like for me, I've came across a lot. Even my parents, they have like managers that are just horrible people. Or like they just don't know what is the better alternative to like use all these like I guess like you can call it
Dictator,
kind of like a dictator style of like managing. Like I execute this, you have to follow. You're my slave. A lot of boss think that way. I pay you, you have to do work for me. But they are earning more money than the person they are paying. So it's like, what are the
you're sort of
incentives?
reducing them down to, okay, they may be pawns in terms of your business and everything, but you're treating them so like disposable, so not humane.
Yep.
You're not treating them humanely.
Yep.
And that will cause problems because
you're working with a human being and you're trying to use a method that is not. You're treating them like as objects, basically.
As an object or even an animal, a slave sort of thing, which I don't know if you ever want to sort of go down that route.
Yeah.
You always need to remain with you. Okay, first basis your own humanity, like human side of yourself. Then from there is other people, like connecting your human side in a sense to other people's humanity. Yeah, just human connection. That's the baseline of everything. Some people go down maybe too deep down a rabbit hole trying to optimize or something at the cost of their humanity.
That's why those people usually, their inner dialogue is also horrible. Because if that's their leadership style, and we all know in order to have a decent life, a fulfilling life, self-leadership is one of the key thing, I guess, to like have a better word. It's a key thing to pay attention to because you are kind of leading yourself to do the things you need to do in order to achieve the life you want. And if whenever you fuck up, the way you speak to yourself is really important as well. A lot of people burn out because they are very self-critical. And it's okay to have high standards, but how you deal with failure, how you guide yourself towards the path you want to take. I think that's very important. Those people that usually are like a dictator in a setting where when they are dealing with someone else, usually if you listen, their inner dialogue is not healthy as well. And it's all built from like their childhood. They got bad job experiences as well when they are younger. To them, that's their default. So it's bad. And if you realize you have the tendency to go into that mode, like a lot of people watching us is, I think, in their 20s. Some early 20s, some mid 20s, some a bit later. And you will have a lot of opportunities to lead yourself and lead other people around you. Like you might not be a manager, you might just be a normal worker. But in order for you to do well in your job, you need to lead people. Yeah. You need to get people to do the thing you need them to do whilst aligning incentives. Yeah.
It all stems from, first of all, yourself. And positive self-talk is necessary in a sense. Because if you're, so linking to the way of Superman, or David Deda's teaching, the masculine grows by challenge and then the feminine grows by praise. So if you're constantly, even bullying yourself in your brain with thoughts, then you're not going to be able to, your feminine side, because, all our bodies are sort of, everything changes, it grows, everything. So it's part of the feminine, everything that changes. Masculine, what doesn't change. So you're just constantly punishing your sort of feminine side, your entire body, your brain, and everything. That's why when people work maybe at a job where the boss doesn't care for them at all, where constantly gives you hard work without rest, everything, or constantly berates you, shouts at you, scolds you, over time, you can see there's beyond stress in the mental health. It shows in their body and like physicality. You can see the wrinkles, the eye bags. Okay, maybe that's sleep, but still, every like aspect of your health slowly deteriorates, and you cannot do that to yourself. Even beyond like other people bullying you, you cannot allow maybe the external world from your childhood and everything in the past to keep, chewing away at your sort of life, your energy, your vitality. You want to slowly, thinking habits, slowly reconfigure, go into your brain, go inside yourself and sort of hammer away, maybe through external also. Like it's both external, internal, physical health, mental health. Slowly reconstruct.
You need to interrupt the
replace,
patterns.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to dive into, in order to make any meaningful change, you really need to interrupt what has already been routinized in your daily life. And a lot of people, they just lack the desire to even change. Like if you see all the bosses, whatever, to them is their incentives that they align since the start is like, I want to climb the ladder of earning this, I want to be a manager, I want to buy this car to show off, whatever. Even like you can see in military operations or whatever, like the higher ups, usually their incentives is to rise amongst the rank so that they have more pay, more power. But they lack the incentive to want to build their character. And when you lack character, you won't even care about how do I lead people, how do I make people feel better. They just do what they think is the easiest way to get the goal that they want. And the goal is usually
It's most like social proof
for themselves. Yeah.
Social proof that sort of validates them. Everyone's getting validated.
It goes back to the few episodes. I think last episode we talked about this also. The superiority versus success. They're aiming for superiority. They want higher status. They want to have they want their family to do well. So at the end of the day, their family do well is because they want to be respected. They want to have power. And they optimize for the wrong thing, they get the wrong results. People resent them, they make enemies, so on and so forth.
Are you doing something right if you have enemies, in a sense, like actual people who will literally hate your guts? I mean, obviously, you will have sort of competition, maybe, but the moment it gets to like hate, from a level of like hatred, resentment, it's really a conflict of two different beings. With the whole like seeing incentive sorting, it is just inertia. Like the main thing that the greatest enemy of any attempt to change men's habits is inertia. So an object in motion stays in motion, or an object at rest stays at rest, unless an equal or force, like opposing force, acts on it. And that's inertia. Moving object will just stay moving.
But how then like that, how do you combat this?
That's why with self-education, thinking and setting intentions to change, which is sort of that's why, as we said earlier, we sort of have to raise up the desire in someone. That's why if any audience as a whole, what message do we have that we're trying to get what points do we have that we want to get across to our audience? What do we want them to change in their lives for the better, not for the worse? We want to help people improve their lives, not obviously make it worse.
Yeah.
So you have to raise that desire, persuade them, hook them, raise up their incentives to want to learn something.
Yeah.
That will improve their lives. And then after that, that's why the why, start with the why, then go into the how. After that, from there on, they can implement in their own lives, which is their own sort of based on their own will. We're not forcing it into them, right? Sort of thing.
Yeah. And the practical way to do this to improve the skill of aligning incentives into persuasion is it still comes down to input and output. The way you input is you talk to people. You need to talk to a human to know how they think. You can learn from books or whatever, but at the end of the day, if you don't really a live human being in front of you, you can't talk to him to learn what he wants, then you're failing everything else. The highest level is still talk to the person. In order to persuade someone, you need to talk to the person first. Then second is practice the output part. Like practice maybe copywriting. Write in a way that they want to read and get convinced. Every sentence lead them to reduce the inertia, to accept a new idea, a new concept, to implement new things into their life, to pay attention, to be more aware of the skills that they need to work on, or even get them to buy something from you. It could be watching this entire podcast. It could be like we don't do a very good job now, but we are trying, we are learning. Getting viewers to know why they should stay throughout the podcast. As retention rate, that's something that it's not it's slowly it's something that we slowly want to put more focus onto, because we know the things we discuss about has value. But it's hard to
we have to first of all, we may have that value, but it really isn't very valuable if you're just storing it in our brains. If you're not able to convey it and even get people to consume our entire podcast. I mean, it may be a slow thing, it may be straight up, because most of us already have sort of knowledge in our minds, because with content consumption and everything, it's just non-stop barrage of and then everyone is selling you an idea or concept or product, everything. Our free product is just a podcast.
It's the attention economy.
Attention economy.
Free products are just fighting for attention in some way or the other.
Yeah. And I already know that the solution to our retention and everything is, in a sense, the conclusion I've come to is just that, all the podcasts with the first minutes of highlight video clips, everything with the maybe text, maybe it can be hovering text, everything. Yeah, like with all the highlights, all the questions, to basically just keep throwing hooks at the audience, and then they will hear it's uncovering the gold, so maybe the nuggets of worthless wisdom in our podcast, just hooking people at the beginning, throwing out casting a wide net, so that any form of audience, a wider audience, will be able to even maybe latch on to something that they may find, they may have curiosity in, and from there, going into the specifics, they can check the timestamps if they want to go and check it out, or just listen to the podcast fully.
But basically, what you're saying is, you can do it either, for you, what you just said is doing it in post, the casting of the wide net part through doing it in post. We can do it both ways, but either way, if you're doing it during the podcast, like aligning incentives, or you do it after, whereby you edit out the gold, the nuggets of wisdom for people to get engaged, to connect with them first, this is important to me. You can do it before or after, but throughout the process of implementing all this is a form of learning. We are putting in what we learned about how to persuade people, about aligning human incentive, into practice. When you edit, you have to think, what does people care about in this 1 hour of content? What 20, 30 seconds can capture their attention? You have to think in that manner. And that's a skill.
A lot of art is just reducing. Even editing is an art form. And what you're really trying to do is just cut it down to make something as simple as it can be, without I don't know Albert Einstein quote anymore, but just without simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. Leonardo da Vinci. I mean, with editing as a whole I found that I actually had all this practice in the past, trying to figure out editing and everything for school projects and everything. I said everything too many times. Articulation. But okay, the main thing is, until I started this sort of editing for this podcast and everything. Okay, I now I'm saying everything a lot.
Bro, show some self-compassion.
Yeah. Until I started editing for this podcast, trying to package the podcast even to convey, not convey, maybe to ease the inertia, to make it easier, more calming, more less resistance.
Doing it for the audience.
Yeah. to make their lives easier consuming this free product of ours, I realized, I'm actually applying all my all the skills, all the knowledge I have had gotten from my school, all my experience in the past, editing or even writing. I realized I always looked at school as like I'm not really using this for anything. All my maybe physics or science in the past also, I was like, when will I ever use this sort of knowledge? It's only recently that I realized I'm actually using it every day now. And going forward, I will have to even use it even more. And it only took this sort of vessel, this podcast, for me to realize that I have something to apply to.
Yeah, you realize that education, although it's easy to say it's useless, but you learn the foundations, you learn the way to learn also. And eventually, now you see when you're working on something that matters to you, you apply some of the principles, some of the skills, the foundation of those skills that you can slowly build on. Because without those skills, it's way harder now. There's more resistance now for you to work on this entire podcasting or whatever they're trying to do. You want to build a business, you still need skills. Like there's a reason why, like a lot of people, a lot of those teenagers that found success when they are young, they probably have like went through a lot of shit. It's not like because it's not they don't they are not going into it inexperienced. A lot of people think that young means that they are inexperienced, but those people have experiences.
I mean, now people are starting earlier and younger and younger and
They're
younger.
just starting earlier. They have the condition there lah. They have dealt with those cards that usually it stems from like trauma, stems from like a bad living condition that forces them to have so much experiences. So a lot of people think that it's important to go into things, just try doing business without getting the experience first. Or like they start a business model that they don't have the skills to even start. They don't have the foundations yet. And they already invest money, they invest time, effort, then they find out that they're actually failing. They have to go back into the foundations first. And usually to get to the foundations, they either need to start with another business model, or they need to go work for someone, shadow someone, learn from someone else first. Yeah. So
is this idea that you have is it easier to sort of teach someone something if they already have all these experience in their brain, so they have preconceived notions about a subject, this is how this must be done, like sort of thing? Or is it easier to teach someone who is already a blank slate, so their mind is open-minded, like having good basic like curiosity and everything, passion maybe, but you don't really need passion, you just need sort of a clear mind, maybe their health is in check, so all those like baseline things you still want baseline. But experience wise, there are benefits to both, pros and cons. So someone who already has iterated on this specific way, in this specific way, or with this set, they have this specific skill set. It can be good if you're trying to go very specialized. But if you're trying to you want to start from scratch, really, you can never know someone else's potential, like really their skill ceiling. But someone who already has, I guess, done experience, maybe harder to, the seed is already sort of sprouting. You may want to start with, but that seed may be like a small plant. It may be a tiny little cactus, but someone else may be a humongous, that large cactus thing.
I get where you're coming from. Yeah. I agree with the way you describe the two approach, like a blank state and having experience already, or like moving towards a direction that might not be right. But actually, I don't think the easier method is the right method. Teaching someone that has a blank slate doesn't help you. Actually, teaching somebody that have maybe those preconceived notion that you know that is wrong, that you really have the experience to show that what you've done is right for this particular situation, actually helps to improve your own conviction, improves your confidence. And through the process, it might be a bit more difficult. But if you're able to turn them or find the middle ground or find the right way, like A, plan B, concept A, concept B, but you guys found concept C together. I think those relationships are more fruitful, and you're not just building another you. You're learning as well.
I guess it is okay. Whether someone's on your the concept of someone below you, so someone you're teaching, a mentee versus someone on your level, so equals a friend, then a mentor, that you have a teacher. So it's teacher, then you in a sense, then who you're teaching in a sense. So at different levels, maybe if you're with a mentee, you want someone who is more open-minded, because in youth there is less, it's more potential. When you're a child, all you are is potential. Your neuroplasticity is the most, like, you're the most neuroplastic you ever will be. You're like a sponge, able to absorb all information. And if you're open-minded also, if you before you're sort of, that's why all people, as childs, you look at adults and they're stuck in their own ways. Literally their neuroplasticity is worse in a sense, so they can't change their mind as easily. And it's just more experience, more life experience. So they're more set in their ways. They, based on their experience, they come to conclusions. I have also come to conclusions, but in a sense, my conclusion is that I know really not a lot of things. You need to know what you know what you don't know.
I feel this is also a way of too much like overgeneralizing. I think it's always better to judge their character. If they're open to learn, I think that's good enough. Like whether blank slate, whether they have experience, if they're open to learn and you align incentives, they want to learn, then it's a good relationship. If they just want to pour everything they know and say that they are right, then you don't join that argument because you can't win. So if you guys are learning from one another, like what's the point of having a mentee if it doesn't benefit you? Of course, you want to learn through mentoring someone, or maybe build somebody that has their own mind also. You don't want to just build another you. Then like that, you're not
the thing is
growing.
that they will always have, everyone will have their own quirks and everything. But the whole point I was trying to get across is that someone with already let's imagine builders. So they've already built sort of a little mini 3-story complex. And then is it easier to sort of renovate the entire thing, or is it easier to, so you have to break it down, then after that you have to slowly reconstruct from the bottom again? Or someone with a clean slate, and then you can build maybe a skyscraper like you originally wanted to with a mentee. That's why most
then my
people
point is that
don't want, it's like what the sage and the teacup, something that there's a whole story where basically a guy goes to a sage and then asks for advice and everything. Teach me your ways, teach me everything. But then he goes with this sort of like already so much information in his mind. Like, this is how I want to learn this, or maybe these are how things have to be done. I have all this knowledge in my mind already. So you're not going there with an open mind, you're going there with like a closed off already approach. And then the sage was like trying to pour tea or something to illustrate that, oh yeah, like say stop whenever or something, just kept pouring tea, then it kept overflowing. Then the person was like, why are you doing? Why are you pouring so much, like overflowing until it's overflowing? And it's like, until you can come back when your brain is like no longer like that, because you already have so much thing. There's no place in your mind to even learn from the sage.
So everything else that you add is just going to waste. I get it. Just that to me, and to I think a lot of people watching, I think everyone, we can never be the sage. The sage is the world. It's everyone around us. We can, no matter how much we are mentoring someone, I don't think I can ever be that sage. I'm always learning. Because you said the buildings that you want to build, the skyscraper, if someone is a blank slate, it's easier to continue down the vision without breaking it down. How do you know that is the best way to build that skyscraper? Or how do you know that, what if like building onto whatever that is there can't build a size, the cap is there. Like you can only build this certain ceiling. So to me, it's always better to. I always like in my life, I always find people that has the character that want to learn, want to build, and they're already doing it. And I don't mind learning from how they do it, while I also have my own like preconceived notion that we try to explain to one another, have the conversation there.
Thoughtful
Like
disagreement.
that's why it's easy for me to just find somebody else with like that is like younger than me without a lot of experience and get them to do what I want. Like for instance, my video editor. It's easier for me to just do that, but I want to find someone that wants to have their own like bring their own vision to life. Then we can have conversations to like, oh how can we implement this and this? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Then like that it becomes a product. It's harder, it takes more effort. I think like through this process, you can then find out how more like what else you can do to improve. If you're just building onto a blank slate, that is assuming that you already know everything. And we all can't know everything.
The thing is that it's always the concept of levels. So we always talk about self-development because that is, first of all, the baseline of everyone. You have to lead yourself. So your graph may be slowly going up like this. But it's not just you because you live in an interdependent world.
Yep.
So you have to link your relationship, yourself, and link how it connects with the world around you. And the concept of mentor, then like a mentee, someone you're teaching, it will always, because you always want to teach someone who is a few steps behind you, and you want to listen to advice from maybe someone who is a few steps ahead of you, so that they are not too high level for you. So it's always a constant. You may like the level slowly going up. It has to the person below you, in a sense, because relationships, like, okay, what are equal relationships? What are unequal relationships? Equal relationships, friend, partner, work partner. So you're collaborating together. 1 + 1 = 3. Like that sort of thing. That's your intention going into that sort of relationship. But unequal relationships, like maybe a parent and a child, a teacher and a student, mentor-mentee. So that's unequal. Okay. And then it's always in relation to what level you're at. Like a few steps back, a few steps forward. So that one is always context dependent for that. Equals as friends, partners. That's why you will be a sage, maybe a teacher to someone, and then you will maybe a student to someone else. There will always be levels. You'll be in the middle, maybe. Yeah, you're always in the middle.
Okay, I agree with that. Just a personal question to you: what kind of mentor and mentee relationships do you have nowadays? Because you are going through like a lot of like growth in this period of life with your intern and whatnot. Yeah.
I mean, okay, I have had a lot of teachers in my life. And I think I had a lot of, beyond all the negative role models I had in my life, I had a lot of good ones also, who are maybe not as loud, as impactful in the sense where, oh, this happened, this event happened, this peaked so high that I will remember this lesson for the rest of my life.
Yep.
Maybe it's just a constant steady sort of teaching me.
I would say that
leading through examples.
For 99% of people and 99% of their lives is usually like this. They learn through small little things that are seem very ordinary. But they are so ordinary that because they work so well that you don't need to be loud. And we all have that. It's very rare to have like, one specific event or you have to go through this very tough SEAL training or whatever, then you learn this lesson. Just most of the time it's slowly, very incremental. Yeah.
Leading by example, that through sort of influence very on the subconscious, unconscious level. But I mean, it's taken me a lot of time to even realize like how much of a good role model they were. And then it started when I sort of started taking being more grateful, having more gratitude for them. And I do make sure to sort of, because as a child you don't want to, that's why do you want to really enforce your ideas onto perhaps someone who is, using force to a child, or do you want to slowly sort of you want to first of all live it. So practice what you preach, lead by example, and then slowly sort of let that influence the person below you. I mean, it's always looking at the person. Everyone's context dependent. Looking at your mentee and being like, oh, okay, he's going through this right now. Is it necessary? Is it the right step for me to maybe discipline him? With a child, proper parenting is not using the maximum force. It's using the minimum possible sort of discipline to get them to, not do something that you hate, because you want them to do better in life so that they can, interact with the world around them, be accepted in society, in their friend groups and everything, and even make friends. So as a teacher, that's why responsibility, unequal relationships, you have responsibility. So with great power comes great responsibility. Yeah, I guess so if you're above someone maybe in a relationship, that's power. And you have to practice that power. I guess 48 laws of power as a whole.
Yeah, it's a bit hard for me to try to understand that. But
I sort of
going back to who's your mentor now?
Oh.
And
So
who's your mentee?
I'm very grateful for all the people who have been good role models in my life. First of all, it's like local scale, me as a child, then my friends, my community, my family, and now is the larger world. With the internet, everything, I got access to all of that. So I consumed like 1,000 channels worth of. I subscribed to 1,000 channels before. Like that was my sort of peak. I consume a lot of content now, like constantly consume. I've been exposed to many, many, many people. So before that, it was less curated. It was more just really anybody I had wanted to like sort of binge content. And there was exposure in a very broad sense to a lot of fields. But usually on YouTube, what people put out is their sort of best work. So you're looking at everyone wants to portray themselves as sort of, you're either seeing their best or their worst. You're not seeing in between, like the day-to-day life sort of thing.
Okay.
So I've been exposed to many, many people. And in that sense, I have many frames of reference. So I've learned from many people, good things, some other like bad things also. Everyone in my life you're the combination of every person you've met in your life, everything they've taught you. I have no one set mentor for now. But that's because recently it's been sort of going up steadily. But if I want to make actually substantial growth, which I think based on my goals this year, I think that, yeah, I want to sort of make more concrete, like in the real world sort of progress. And for that, I need someone who's actually doing that in the real world also, beyond just like thinking. Because I may be exposed to everything in my mind, but these are just ideas, and I need to actually iterate and find someone who can give me feedback on what I'm iterating now.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking, like, if we want to tell people to the benefits of having mentors and mentees, we need to tell them stories of why it works. Yeah. So for us, personally, I don't believe in all the traditional mentor-mentee kind of relationship. Like, just now when you say it's very easy to sell. It's a very good idea. Like, oh, everyone should have a mentor that's a few steps ahead of you. And everyone should have a mentee that is a few steps behind you. But I think life is so complex that you can't really have those mentors and mentees unless you go like, you're those type of person that can go black and white and just get someone go and procure all these relationships.
Pay, that's why having people having access to them, like for a large high sum, hourly rate something.
Then for me, it's always having the frames that are observing the good, like gratitude, observing the good in other people, so that you learn from those. Those are in your area of focus. Because if you are thinking of the bad or your own insecurities, projection, all this, then you can't really learn much. You have to learn from you want to develop the skills to be able to learn from everyone. I think that's what we are doing. Instead of finding a concrete mentor that we want to like apprenticeship or whatever. Because most of us, we are still growing. We don't really have like a set path yet. Unless you really have, you're 100% sure where you're going in life, then go seek out for those mentors. And for mentorship, I think I don't have the experience, so I cannot say much. But it's not just like going to them and just like, oh, can you be my mentor?
Yeah,
Those are not aligning incentives.
It needs to be align incentives, and then
Connection.
value exchange.
Value exchange, yeah.
Because
you need to build a connection. They need to see you as a human instead of somebody just asking them for a favor.
You can put them on a pedestal where like, oh, they are so much greater than me. Like, I have so much to learn from them. Like,
yeah, you can't do that too. So for us, we're still trying to find out these relationships. So a lot of these, like you said, are just ideas. We still need to go into the real world and test them. But it's a good frame, a good mindset to have when you are thinking of how to think of your relationships in your daily lives. Yeah. Knowing that you can learn from everyone, and even those anti-role models that we have, they probably have some good traits that we can learn from, but provided that your interactions with them is a net positive. Because sometimes their bad traits are so loud that it's just horrible. It just gives you stress. It takes away your health, your mental bandwidth to hang out with them.
I mean, generally, there is always something you can learn from someone. So negative role models, you really want to minimize the time you spend around them. Average of 5 people you spend the most time with. But really, because you already have the reason why you even look at them as a negative role model, let's say, is because you have had a negative experience with them before, or multiple repeated in your life. So you can reflect on them, and you can already pinpoint, oh, what do I need to learn from them? I already know that I don't want to be like them in this aspect. You don't have to spend more time with them to find out more about, oh, I don't want to be like them in this aspect. Just reflect. That's why you have all the experience in your head already. You have the lessons. The lessons have been sort of presented to you. You just have to reframe them, learn from them, analyze them, try to figure it out, and absorb and then apply that in your life. With mentorship as a whole, there are like general mentors, then there are more specific mentors. So if you right now that's why general, being more a generalist, it's more widespread, more jack of all trades, maybe less master. But that is, I think, better in a sense for more beginner, like if you're at a lower level, like many of us are, I think, since most of us are younger, not as, we don't have like a 40 year or 10,000 hours or something of like working into something. We're still trying to figure out what we even want to pour our 10,000 hours into. Like, it took me 2 years to even get to here, to this point where I can say I know what I want to do and go into. Like, it took me so long to figure out I want to do content creation, and now I know my future plans. Like, I want to go into music, want to do entrepreneurship, start a food prep, meal prep company. It took me 2 years of, let's say, self-development. Sort of, I deviated from all my artistic creation, content creation as a whole. I went like, so they said disappear and like get even to that point where you can disappear and come back as like a completely new person, right? Like, that's the whole like framework of like lone wolf, disappear and completely transform yourself. It took me solitude. That's a long period of solitude, figuring out myself, internal work, even working with people. Okay, not pure solitude, but like a mix of both. It took so much self work to even be able to figure out what I want to do, and that is something you first want exposure to the world. You want slowly to, maybe not all of us were born and then we grew up with the internet, so we're exposed to like 7 billion, now 8 billion people on the internet, and that sort of endless possibilities. And then you're looking at people who are like super ripped, super jacked, on steroids, or like super successful. They have this so super beautiful, their beauty standards constantly being raised. That's why negative self-talk, everything. You're always you're comparing yourself constantly to everyone you've been exposed to in life. You're seeing, oh, in what aspect of, are they better than me, worse than me? You're constantly comparing yourself. And to even be able to, that's why meditate, maybe detach, maybe realize that, oh, these comparisons do not really make sense. I'm my own individual being, in a sense. I don't need to compare myself in that aspect. I can take inspiration, but there's no need to compete. You can be yourself. You want to figure out yourself, in a sense. And you will be a combination of everything.
Then for somebody that will, before you figure all these things out, what would you say to that Josiah? Like based on what you just said. What would be a sound piece of advice? Do you want him to go into solitude or take some time, maybe show some self-compassion? What would really just a person there, you want to try to help him? What would you say to him?
You need to figure out yourself. That's the main thing. Like,
is that all you're gonna tell him?
because
He'll ask you why.
I will know my
How?
If I was talking to my past self, I think we've had this theoretical before.
Yeah.
I know that they're already on the right track in a sense that, okay, maybe at that point in time, I was just exposed to everything. I needed to, okay, first of all, fix my sleep and everything, all my habits, my
No,
health.
don't tell me. Tell him.
Tell him.
Yeah.
The things that past me already is doing that.
Okay,
So he went on a train.
So say whatever you want to say to him.
Like, so all the way me at the beginning. Like
the one that's lost.
The one that's lost.
That you want him to figure things like before you figure out all these things out.
That's the thing. There's a whole process, and I cannot like in a few words sum it up. It really is just through life and time.
Don't need something out. Just say whatever you want him to hear. What you would want someone to say to you.
What I want. So I don't want to say anything to me, because I know that me now, whatever I say to me back then, I'm in a sense too many levels up already, to where whatever I say will not even like enter, or I'm unable to sort of say something that will actually benefit. Because if you cannot skip the levels. So if I'm at level 9 and I'm looking at my level 1 self, and I'm like, oh, you do this to get this level, then that, I will not have the capacity. Like, it's with mentorship also, like this is linked. When the student is ready, the master appears. So you will find the right people in your life. You realize, once you realize you have a need for something, you start seeing them. You start naturally gravitating towards them, or they gravitate towards you.
Then what?
Younger me, I wouldn't say anything to them. Like, they're already on the right track if they just through time and the process. You cannot skip levels.
What?
That's why, okay, there are problems when higher level people, like level 6 people, like because there's this, like, it's the levels of thinking thing, where if level 6, they are more, I think, self-conforming, like they know that they have a sort of impact on the people around them. Before that, level 3, you're not really caring as much.
But why are you even telling me this?
No, because you want me to sort of, me level 9 trying to tell me level 3 like something, and like give them advice, but I wouldn't.
Then whatever that you are saying now is
my level is like here already, and I don't want to.
Then now you are at there. What are you saying to who?
That's what I'm saying to the people who are a few levels down from me.
Oh, then what will you say to them?
Oh, to them, just, if you haven't fixed your health yet, just fix your health. And then if you haven't discovered yourself yet, go do like the really the basics for me. If I want to figure myself out, first of all is, because if you ask anybody in your life like what they think of you, I think I did this to the people in my life. I asked them like, what do you think of me? Like, what? I asked you also, right? Then they give me answers, but obviously they'll be biased. But it's good as a frame of reference to see how they see you. But beyond that, doing your own test as a whole, psychometric test, like the Ocean test, the Enneagram test, the MBTI, these things, the journey into yourself, right? You want sort of, if you want to measure anything, so anecdotal data, first of all, it is how you perceive yourself, how you speak to yourself, what your natural proclivities are, what you're good at, what you're bad at, maybe.
So do the tests.
I mean, that's what I did in a sense. In the past also, I did it like a few times even. Because you're constantly changing.
And they helped a lot for you to figure out.
Because I need sort of, your own view of yourself is contained in yourself, in your own head. It is not what reality is. Reality is, you cannot really categorize as what is reality, what is not.
But you want to capture like a snapshot of it.
Capture a snapshot, and see as many perspectives, your perspective on me, what this tests, like, based on their calculation and everything, like, what does it say about me?
Also shine the light
on me.
At your blind spots also.
Yeah.
Sometimes you really cannot, like, if you don't do all these things, very hard to figure out what your blind spot by just thinking. Like,
so because
you need just some feedback
in an echo chamber of your own head.
Yeah.
And you
because I want to figure out, like, I ask all this because a lot of people will think, oh, if you are still figuring things out, then why are you saying all this to me? Then who am I to you? So like, so sometimes it's good to
Who am I?
yeah, to realize that all this, it helps in this way because of what, why, and why did I do it before, and what has helped me. Yeah. So I
Is
was asking.
the
Yeah.
things that who actually has it figured out? Like, quick question, like who actually knows everything objectively, like truth? Like who? Show me anyone, please. Like it's always constantly stress testing your ideas, so being challenged, having an equal stress test your beliefs, having a mentor stress test your beliefs, and identify, like look at your blind spot, like this is what you're doing wrong.
And
This is what you should be doing.
invite more discussion on
Yeah.
on these things. And to invite more discussion, you need a good balance between pushing your thoughts and just receiving whatever that people give to you.
You need to figure out what is you authentically, like what is set. Like this is how like I actually authentic me actually is. Then this everything else around me can change, can improve for the better. Like what is really you what are your real strengths? Because okay, if you want to try to make money as a whole, people don't pay for like average, you know. They want to pay for the best of the best.
Yeah, but we, like you said, people pay for the best of the best, but no one can really say that they are the best of the best in the.
No, but it's not comparing to anyone else. It's comparing to yourself. Like so, your own strengths, your own weaknesses. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Do you really want to spend like 10,000 hours working on a weakness to slowly build it up to the point where, oh, I'm not competent at this. I'm not decent. Or you're already from the beginning your natural proclivities, so natural things that you're naturally better at, things that you really like. Maybe okay, you may really like this, but it may be just people will not want to pay you as much for it because you're not that great even. You can work on it for super long and just get to here. But if you work on something you're already maybe better at, so you figure out yourself through like self-exploration, discovery, learning, then you figure out, oh, I'm strong at this. Then I slowly like throw it out. Okay, the problem lies where this low level sort of skill or anything or trait you have has to do with health and everything. Because health is the baseline of everything. So all this is on the table of your life as a whole, your strengths, everything. If your health is like the constraint, then you cannot even get to the point where you can think clearly enough to figure out, oh, I'm strong at this, I'm weak at this. So for me, baseline health, you want to figure out your weakness, your strength, then maybe play into your strengths more than focus on your weakness. Because people really do not, people want to pay for your strengths, like what you're good at. There are infinite people that they can go to for help, but it is your strengths are maybe access to people in your life. So you really have that. That's not really you can use your strengths to help the people in your life with their problem. You don't want, I don't want someone to come to me like with maybe I'm not the best. Like I know as a whole myself as an INTP, one of our weaknesses is really like emotional sort of dealing with people's emotions and dealing sort of with my own emotions. Like my most weak point is not knowing. I don't care about my own emotions as much. Like I'm too busy worrying about other people's emotions in my life. Like that is my weakness, and I know that you have to know your weaknesses, and you can forecast like failure, so you can offset that. You can learn from that. Strengths, I know that my strength is like logical thinking, and I can share my conclusions in a sense, like really rational. I mean, as rational as you can get, in a sense, like compared to everyone else in my life, because lucky or not, I am the way I am, and I cannot really change that. I know that I'm not great at emotions. Like if they want emotional support, I'm not the best person. I know that myself, so I will like disclose that. I know I'm more rational thinking. So really know yourself, know thyself. That is the ultimate.
I think it's respectable that you
level.
took so much steps, took so much work to really discover yourself and know yourself to the point that like you can articulate what kind of person you are, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, and how you plan to, like, moving on, what you plan to do with this information about yourself. I think a lot of like there's is it in the Bible, know thyself?
I think so.
But it's one of the most important thing, knowing yourself. Yeah. And for me personally, I know that I don't know a lot. Like just now I thought about like having a balance between receiving information and being more not hesitant, more stubborn in your own ideas first. I think you can't just be stubborn, but you still need a level of stubbornness in order to have a equal conversation to learn from one another. If I come into this conversation just not just ready to receive everything you say, it's not really productive for either of us. If I come into this with, let's say like 50%, I kind of know my idea. So I present it in a way that, oh, I'm right. Then you present it in a way you're right. Then we took a step back and find out what is the middle ground or whether or not there is a right. I think that's something that I've been working on. And last time I would be a bit more of like a pushover. Or when I was interning or whatever, because of the lack of experience, the lack of self-esteem, I didn't have the evidence like me going for a run in the wee hours or waking up at this time. I haven't built the evidence that I can achieve that. I was still fat, I was still inexperienced, I was still getting controlled by the addictions, like the compulsion to do the things that harm myself. I had all those. That's why when I go for internship or whatever, it's just whatever they tell me, I treat it as, oh, that's the best advice ever that I just learned.
Because you've been reinforced by your own actions, your own thoughts. But yeah.
Then recently, when I got more evidences, people start telling me like some of the NS men I had conversations with, oh, you're quite stubborn. Then afterwards, but they say, but that's good. Like you can see the respect in their eyes, although they are older. They see you as somebody, although you are young. I still learn a lot. I still ask for their own experiences, their stories or whatever. But when it comes to certain things that I think I know it's the best thing for me, I'll just say in a way that makes the most sense for me. Like this is right. I still can do this. I still need to focus on this in order to achieve this and this. Yeah. So knowing that's why I say like it's like the concept we talked about this before being like water.
Yes, I also had it, man.
Yeah. So being fluid with your stance is what I mean. Yeah.
The roles in your life. So mentor-mentee, when you're trying to learn from someone, you want to open your mind, be clear your mind of preconceived notions, everything, and your mentor will just sort of kick at you if you have, I guess, all these preconceived notions.
Yep.
Then on an equal level, it is you need like that. It's that middle ground, really the middle ground where you're like, I know that he knows things that I don't know. I know that I know things that he doesn't know. And then you have to use persuasion, all that stuff as equals.
Yep.
To or like with time, like discussion, like really open-minded thought, like challenging each other's thoughts, refining each other through that process.
Okay.
And then with a teacher, as a teacher, you want to really
that's my stance on all this. My stance that I'm gonna stubbornly present to you is that in life, we all try to get to the middle ground whereby we are both the student and the teacher. And we can never and it's just about how fast you reach there. Because we are all started with just students or whatever. Some people, the earlier they reach, the faster they grow. A lot of people when they're young, they learn how to be the middle ground. And a lot of us, like for me, it took me a while to reach the middle ground. But for some people, they never reach the middle ground. They're always a student or they think they are the teacher already. Then they get complacent. So for me, no matter what age, even like one day before you die, you're still the middle ground. That's my thought. And I think this is just a food for thought. We want to hear what you think about this, like teachers, mentors. Do you think that there's ever a chance that somebody can reach that level whereby you can just give it just 100% stubborn in your ideas?
The thing is stubborn core. So you just need to hold yourself to your core, your character. That is what it must be. You must be inflexible in. So you must be like ice, like rigid, strong, and then everything else can change in a sense. So you need to be open in a sense. No self-knowledge, knowing what you know, what you don't know, so that you can even knowing your strengths, so that when interacting with someone, you can even tell them like people hiring anyone, they will ask you what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses. They are trying to get a gauge of how much you know yourself as a person. Because from that point, from yourself, it will bleed into everyone, everything else that you do. And what? The laws of power are what? Think as you like, but behave like others. So, day to day, you're gonna have to experience life. You may have information in your head that other people don't. And you cannot really, being aware of your level, you cannot tell someone at a super early level, okay, let's say I'm a level 1. So, okay, this like concept of all the roles also, right? If you're at level 1, right, so you're all the way at the bottom of this graph that I'm hypothetically putting up. You're at a level 1. Is there anyone below level 1? Like, I mean, level 0. Like, isn't it like not even being born yet, in a sense? Like, as you age, you'll naturally level up. Some people get capped because breaking out the lower levels of thinking is even harder than like, it's very hard. Like, and some people may not even ever reach that level because they never get access to the sort of like exposure. So that's why you may not be at the level where you even have a mentee yet. So that's fine, like perfectly fine. Like, focus on yourself, like develop yourself first. Then once you get to the point where your mentors at the beginning may just be other people, but as you progress, maybe you want more. Once you figure yourself out, like where I am at in my life, you can start looking for specific mentors that can help you in very specific ways, and then start looking for maybe specific mentees also. So I realized maybe I'm at a level now. Mentees are just people on the internet. Maybe it's a natural progression for me. And you have to figure that out for yourself. Life is just constantly figuring it out for yourself. There are like really no adults. Like Naval Ravikant says, his one repeated learning in life, there are no adults. Everyone is making it up as they go along. Figure it out yourself and do it.
And that's a good place to end today's episode. Yep. See you guys in the next one.
See you. Figure it out.